America's becoming a less reliable ally, but that's mainly because of China, not Trump. China's now so big that it forces America to ask whether being top dog in Asia is really worth it. And unfortunately for Australia, it isn't. America will be a secure and wealthy country no matter who's in charge in Asia. So Australia needs to do more for itself. We need a powerful military built around an echidna strategy that makes us look benign and friendly to countries that mean us no harm, but spiky and indigestible to those that do. The good news is that China's far away and has very little reason to attack us. But we're giving them reasons by building AUKUS submarines and hosting American bombers. We'd be more secure without them.
Tanya.
Sam's book's actually a really good read, The Echidna Strategy. It's actually, if people are interested in foreign policy, worth having a look at. I think the central point that we have to be more self-reliant as a country, both in defence and economically. I think that's a point well made by Sam, and it's certainly what we're pursuing as a government. I mean, we've stabilised the relationship with China. We've got $20 billion of our exports back into Chinese markets. That is fantastic. But at the same time, we've been working across the Pacific to re-establish relationships with Pacific neighbours that were trashed under the previous government when they joked about climate change, meaning oceans would be lapping at the doors of our Pacific neighbours. We've built up our trading relationship with India. We're exporting billions more to India. We've just signed a trade agreement with the UAE. And when it comes to the United States will always be a really important partner for Australia. But
are they a less reliable partner now?
I think they'll always be a very important strategic partner for us. We'll continue to have a very close defence relationship with the United States. But, I mean, you know, if COVID taught us anything, the more that we can do for ourselves, the more self-reliant we can be, the better for Australia.
Adam.
Look, we need to detach from Donald Trump. Labor and Liberal have now spent decades aligning Australia's defence and foreign policy with the United States. And AUKUS, the AUKUS submarines, for example, are not about protecting Australia. They're about being part of whatever Donald Trump's next military adventure and a military attack is. That's not the echidna strategy about protecting our country. That's about joining in another country's attack force. And what it does is it paints a huge Donald Trump-shaped target on Australia's back. One of the big concerns for Australia, threats to Australia, the region, the world, is escalating tensions between the US and China. We should be doing everything we can here as a player in the region that has relationships with both of them to de-escalate tensions. And instead, under Labor and Liberal, we're signed up to be basically doing whatever Donald Trump says happens next. And that is not going to make us less safe. And they're spending over $375 billion on these nuclear power submarines that may never arrive. It's a huge amount of money. You could spend $1 million a day for 1,000 years and not reach that sum of money. I can see Georgina angling.
I think she's in fierce disagreement with you, Adam.
So we do need to come up with a strategy that works out what is in Australia's best interest, not what is in Donald Trump's best interest.
So tell us what the Greens' defence strategy is then. Tell us how the Greens are going to deliver a potent military force, because we've got a plan which we committed to, we secured to use to get access to nuclear-powered technology for submarines. This will give us a potent capability. It is important that we have the capacity to defend ourselves. It's also important, by the way, that we're paying for it, which is why we've committed to $21 billion of extra funding for defence and to get defence spending to 2.5% of GDP and within 10 years to 3%.
Your defence spokesman the other day, Andrew Hastie, I was speaking to him on afternoon briefing, and he said that, you know, we do have to change strategy because Trump is less reliable. Do you agree that Trump is a less reliable partner for us?
What is clear is that we have a long-standing relationship with the United States. We have shared values. We have mostly a shared language. We've got a whole range of reasons why it makes sense to maintain what is a critical security relationship, including the capacity to have really potent weapons. But we also have to pay for it. Now, under the current government, $80 billion of defence spending has been deferred or cut. They got rid of the 4th Squadron of the F-35A fighters. We've committed to restore that. We do need to be serious about our self-defence. These are challenging times. We need a potent Australian military, and we are very committed to that.
We're actually going to spend almost $11 billion more over the forward estimates and almost 60 over 10 years.
No.
By the way,
80 billion
Paul, when you were in
deferred
government,
or
you
cut.
made $42 billion worth of
cut.
announcements that weren't funded. They had no funding attached to them. If we had to protect the country with press releases, we would be fine.
If we're attacked while Labor is in government, the answer will be to say to the attackers, just wait till we get to the end of the forward estimates, because that's when the money comes, and then we'll have the weaponry.
You could have started building submarines a decade ago, and you didn't.
Bring some sense to all of this.
OK. Where
Help me, Peter Hartcher.
Where do you want me to start? Well, look, a couple of points from Sam and then a couple of points from Tanya and Paul's exchange, if I may. So Sam's contention is that we paint, and to use your words, Adam, painting a target on ourselves, a Donald Trump-shaped target. And Sam likewise said we're giving China reasons to attack us. But China has already decided that it is on a historic mission to dominate the region and the world and break Australia's sovereign will. 8 years ago, Sam Dastyari, we learned that there was a concerted Chinese campaign to corrupt and influence Australia's political system. 5 years ago, we learned that there was a systematic program of trade bans accompanied by 14 demands issued from the Chinese embassy in Canberra to break Australia's sovereign will. What was it? 4 weeks ago, we saw a Chinese task force circumnavigate Australia, something that even the Soviet Union didn't do at the height of its powers. China has decided that it is going to be the dominant power. We are already a target. Nothing we can do will change that. All we can do is decide whether we're going to have the power to resist or not. And I think most Australians would think that we should be able to resist and make our own sovereign decisions. The echidna is a brilliant metaphor, but the echidna, when under attack, curls up in a ball and goes into a burrow in the ground. Now, that's an attractive idea when you're under attack. But the problem is that Australia earns its living in the world not by hiding away, but by exporting and importing across the ocean, which is why we need an alliance system so that countries can keep the sea lines of communication open. Georgina talked before about cooperating with all the other countries in the region. There's not just China, not just America. There's a whole bunch to cooperate with the Japanese, with the South Koreans, with other like-minded countries to keep the sea lines of communication open for all as a common good. I would say about the exchange between Paul and Tanya that I think both parties are fundamentally inadequate in the way they have operated Australian defence policy and their plans for Australian defence policy. The Australian Defence Force today is the same size. The man who wrote Australia's 1987 Defence White Paper told me a couple of days ago, made the point to me that Australia's Defence Force today is exactly the same size it was when he wrote the 1987 Defence White Paper. This has been a serial failure by both political parties in Australia. Both of them have belatedly realised that we have been too complacent and they're both getting active. And you just heard a debate between the two of them about how to get active and when and how to allocate the money. I think the Liberal Party's ambition to have a higher amount of spending allows Australia to build the AUKUS submarines, but also replace existing capability as it expires. But the Liberal Party didn't tell us how they're going to spend the extra money. There's no capability attached to it. It's just, it's a political target it's a slogan. So I think that's inadequate, and I think Labor's current spending is inadequate as it is. I think we need to hear from both parties on the other side of this election realistic plans for making Australia, giving Australia the capacity.
I think it's unlikely we're going to hear it this week, that's for sure.
Sadly, that's true.
I think we can call that. Briefly before we get...
Briefly, I know we've laboured this point, but it's critically important. Sam's book is, I agree with Tanya, it's a really good read. It's a cute concept, the echidna strategy, but it basically argues that Australia is too far away for China to care about. Well, that's patently untrue, given what we've seen over the last few years. The other thing I would like to remind Sam and others who are sceptical of AUKUS and you know, this sort of peace through strength ambition that we have, is that it was in the 1930s when we were woefully unprepared for the impending war here in the Pacific and World War II. And it was in the early 1940s when we came under attack from Japan. We had the bombing of Darwin, we had Japanese midget subs in Sydney Harbour, we had Japanese planes in Hobart. Australia is not too far away from a foreign power to be invaded, to be intact. We need to be realistic. Do we want to defend our country or do we want to bend the knee? Well, I say defend our country. Well,
we asked Australians what they think of the US alliance. YouGov polled the nation and found 2/3 of voters, 66%, say the US can no longer be trusted as a military ally and Australia should develop a more independent military capability. That's a massive shift from when we asked the same question 9 months ago when only 4 in 10 Australians questioned the relationship. Now, concerns on Donald Trump run deep, with YouGov finding 70% of Australians worry he'll make Australia worse off.